Okay, so remember, take water breaks anytime. And again, feel free to modify the movements. If your neck feels strained, keep your head on the ground. If your lower back feels strained, keep your feet on the floor. All right, we're gonna start with Pilates breathing. Inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. Slow, deep inhale. Like you're really trying to smell some amazing soup. But the soup is so hot, so you gotta blow on it. And oddly enough, my last name in Mandarin means soup, so I really like soup. Inhale and exhale. Okay, we're gonna try to keep up this kind of breathing throughout this 45-minute class. Inhale, exhale. We're gonna go ahead and roll down. Take one more inhale. And exhale, roll down the length of your mats. If you have a shorter mats and your head is on the ground, then I would just adjust your body so that your feet is on the ground and your head is on the mats. Okay, we're lying comfortably on the ground. You're gonna look straight ahead, which would be the ceiling. Inhale through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. The purpose behind the exhalation through the mouth that's kind of forceful is that it recruits your abdominal muscles. So take a breath in, rib cage expands, exhale, get all the air out of your belly, out of your lungs. We're in neutral spine position right now, so maybe a slight space or gap underneath the lower back. Breathing in neutral spine a couple more times. And on the next exhale, we're going to imprint. You might not be able to see too much of the movement, but I'm basically tilting my pelvis back and lifting my tailbone. I'll just move my hands here. Inhale, I'm coming back to neutral. Exhale, imprint. Inhale, neutral. Exhale, imprint. You do want your hands down on the floor by the side. Neck relaxed, head relaxed, but abdominals contracted for that imprint. Now let's go ahead and imprint and lift the legs to tabletop. You want to protect the lower back by keeping the spine imprinted whenever your legs are off the ground. Exhale, reach a leg away, keeping the knees at 90 degrees. Inhale, return. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Reinforce the imprint. Inhale. Keep on breathing. Try to find that 90-degree angle, the knee over the hip to start. The knee stays over the hip as only one leg moves. Just double check that you don't pull the other knee towards the chest. Now, if you do feel any sort of lower back strain, you can pull the knees in a little closer to your chest if you need to. Good, let's try both legs going down. Pay attention to that imprint. If you feel the lower back come off, then you're going to stop the lowering of your legs, even if it's halfway there. Exhale, tap all 10 toes and return. Move slowly with control. You're definitely going to feel more work in the abs to maintain imprint when you lower both legs compared to one. Feel free to continue lowering one leg at a time if you'd like. I'm going to do the last one here. I'm going to take my feet all the way to the floor, and I'm going to set my feet hip distance apart. Sliding it a little closer to the butt, inhale, and then exhale, slowly roll up into your glute bridge or shoulder bridge. It's called a glute bridge because you're squeezing your butt. It's called a shoulder bridge because you're resting on your shoulder blades. I think some people call it a hip bridge too because remember hips. Regardless, we're all talking about the same thing. Slowly roll down. Inhale, we hold at the bottom. Exhale, squeeze the butt, press to the heel and roll up. Okay, your eye gaze is still on the ceiling. We're lengthening the front of the body. We're squeezing the glutes. And as we start to lower down, keep the glutes engaged until the tailbone hits the floor. Inhale here. exhale. Inhale, exhale. Do one more. We're focusing on lifting the hips and rolling up through the spine, one vertebra at a time. Okay. And now we're going to roll up from the head. So head, neck, and shoulder blades come off, and that's it. Inhale, exhale, back down. Inhale, exhale. Reach with the fingertips, inhale, hold, exhale, lower. Now, IDs here is important. You want to look at your knees. You don't want to look at the ceiling. That causes a lot of strain on the neck. You also don't really want to look straight down at your chest. That's jamming your chin down too far. So a good position is nod the chin gently and look at your kneecaps. Arms reach toward the toes. One more in this leg position here. Lift legs to tabletop, squeeze your knees together. And we're going to do our crunches. This time your lower back should be imprinted. Let's do one more here. We're using our abdominals to contract and pull the rib cage toward the hips. So we're going to segue into hundreds here, which is pumping our arms 100 times. If your neck gets tired at any point, you can place your head back down, or you can put one hand behind it. If you know you're going to be using a hand behind, you can do 50 here and 50 here. You can straighten your legs. If you do that, you feel your quads engaged, hamstring being stretched, and if you have your legs on the diagonal, it creates a little more challenge to the abs. Go ahead and pick your leg position. I've been doing hundreds for a while, and so for those of you that have been taking Pilates with me for a while, I'm just going to show you some leg variations. But again, option 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Go ahead and crunch up, reach the arms, palms down, and start to pump. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 10. Inhale. You can keep your knees bent the whole time. 20. Inhale. If you have your legs straight, exhale. 30. Feel free to do some variation in heights. Exhale. 40. Inhale. And exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. We're on 70. These are just options. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. That's 80. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And this is 150. Just kidding. It's 100. Although, you would never know because nobody counts with me, right? So let's flip over and rest our abs and warm up the spine muscles. Here we're lifting the head, neck, and the top part of the rib cage. Once again, I want your chin to be slightly tucked so that your head and neck is aligned with your spine. I'm kind of looking at the floor. You don't want to look at the wall in front of you. And you definitely don't want to look at the ceiling, but I don't know how you can. So we have the forearms gently pressing down. So that's from fingertips to elbows. So sometimes I see elbows coming up. So try to press equally and evenly throughout the entire forearm. And if you don't feel like you need to press into the forearm, then you can take your forearms away. Reach fingertips toward the back of the room or toward your toes. This spine extension is the opposite of the crunch motion. It's helpful and useful and beneficial for your body to work the spine in both directions. So you're balanced front to back. Good. So inhale to lift, shoulder blade gently squeeze together, exhale to lower. This exercise is also great for your posture. I'm keeping the feet on the ground for now. Let's do one more. Also, I need to wipe this yoga mat down. Jeez, it smells. All right, let's sit back. The nice thing about working out virtually is you don't really have to wash your gym clothes. You don't really have to wipe down your mat. Just kidding. We of course should. All right, so half roll back is exactly how it sounds. We're rolling halfway back. Try to anchor your toes. So what this means is if you roll back too far and your feet pop up, you've probably gone back a little bit too far. The more anchored your feet are, the more you're actually going to feel in your abs. So I don't want your feet to cramp up, but do try to point your toes down into the mats as you roll halfway back. Keep those shoulders down and relax away from the ears. Now I'm trying to sit up a little bit straighter as I come up vertically. Feel free to keep a C curve in your spine. That's okay. Exhale. Inhale. So my palms are facing inward, and my arms are reaching forward to help counterbalance my spine going back. So now we're going to do a bow and arrow, like Katniss in Hunger Games. Pull one elbow back, keep the other one straight forward. I did a slight rotation, but not too much of a rotation. It's really about the extra weight of the elbow and arm going back, so your abs are working more. So not so much about rotation here. I took archery when I was in 6th grade. I slightly remember how to pull a bow and arrow. Good. So when you pull back, feel like that one shoulder blade is sliding towards the spine. Do one more on each side. Feel those abs. When you pull one of those arms back, you can imagine what it feels like if you pull both arms back. Should we try that? Sure, why not? Go back, not too far. It is a lot harder when you pull both elbows back. Let's go ahead and roll all the way down. One was enough, right? All right, so the full roll up. I'm gonna lift one of my legs to tabletop. Draw the abs in. Sometimes when our arms are overhead, we like pop the rib cage and we arch the back excessively. Try to keep the abs drawn down. Biceps by the ears. Inhale. Full roll up. Arms, head, shoulders. Exhale, reach the leg straight and roll up through the spine by contracting the abs. Dive toward your ankles. Hamstring stretch. Good. We're going to roll back, keeping the heels heavy on the floor. This is once again about spine articulation. Resisting gravity as you lower down. Lift the other leg. Inhale. Arms, head, shoulder blades. Exhale, legs and abs. Peeling yourself right off. You're aiming for a slow, smooth, controlled lifting. Or a peel up, I should say. It's okay if you have a little bit of momentum to help you up. On the way down, it's not about momentum. It's just about going slowly. It's about not just falling back. Good. If you want to keep your heels down, you can, or you can lift your leg back up. The straightening the leg does help with the roll up. So definitely take that option. Here's the heel down version. Arms, head, shoulders, and then just continue peeling up and stretch. If you want a little more challenge on the roll down, similar to that half roll back where I pulled my elbows back, instead of having the arms stay in front as I roll back, I bring my arms high and then I roll down. So if you're still doing the single leg lift, then you should be on your second leg. Inhale, arms, head, shoulders, spine. Take advantage of this time to stretch. And then option, your arms are either in front of you, or they're near the ears, or anywhere in between. Okay. Hands adjusted. We're ready to go. Single leg D's. So these are capital D's, like for my friend Nicole. Her last name starts with a D. The D is capital, so you draw down the spine and then you draw the semicircle. Now the question is, how big do you want to make your D? It's completely up to you. The bigger the D, the more range of motion in the hip, and the more work it takes for your abdominals to stabilize the body. So I'm going to start with one leg. This is my left, so I think it might be your right. I draw down the spine of the D. I draw out into that semicircle, and then I return to the top. The more my leg is vertical for that top starting point, the more I feel the hamstring stretch. So here it is again. Inhale on the way down. Exhale on the way up. Now, if I go down, I can go down to 45 degrees. I can make a very not wide D, right? Because if I go too wide and my whole body tilts, then I'm not stabilizing with my spine. So we're going to do 5 Ds in this direction. So this should be the third one, or the fourth. And the other thing you want to watch out for, I'm showing you this angle, is that as I sweep my leg out, this knee shouldn't go out to the side and counterbalance this movement. Keep everything still except for the one moving leg. So now we're going to reverse it. So we're going to inhale. We can inhale to start, going out to the side, and then exhale, sweep up. Use the contraction of the hip flexors. We're still on the same leg, we just reversed the direction. Inhale. Great for hip opening. If you feel your hips going click, 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 as long as it doesn't hurt, it's okay. The reason why I feel my joints kind of clickety-clackety there is because I just haven't been moving all day. So I just admitted something that basically I sat on my butt all day until now. Yeah, and we get kind of stiff if we sit all day. So now I'm kind of feeling it. All right, last one. So you don't have to start this low or end this low. Good. Hug that knee in. Rotate the ankles. Relax the knee and just like really hug it in. How's everyone doing? Okay, great. I love how I can't see anyone's faces as you're on the ground, but I see those thumbs up this high. Perfect. So let's do the other leg. Hamstring stretch. First, I'm going to draw down the spine of the D. And then exhale to the side and up. And I'm really using my abs to stabilize and my hip flexors to pull. Inhale. Exhale. Slow and controlled. Try to keep your leg as straight as possible. That works the spine, the quads. Spine. And it stretches the hamstrings. All right, let's reverse it. Oh, I think this is the 5th one. Okay, so we're reversing it by doing the curve first, and the inhale, exhale, pull straight up. Watch that other knee. Watch that it doesn't go to the side. So 5 in each direction. I'm telling you this repeatedly so that you can count. All right. I fail often at counting correctly. That's it. Hug the knees in. Rotate the ankles 3 or 4 times in each direction. Okay, we're going to do the ab series, so go ahead and hug in your other knee. One of the legs will stretch out. Again, you can always pick the angles. Higher the angle, a little less strain on the back. Lower angle, more work on the abs. Make sure you don't lose the imprint. And then option, lift the head, neck, and shoulders and stare straight at the knees. Inhale here, exhale, stretch. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. You don't want to excessively breathe fast. Breathe excessively fast. But you also don't want to slow down too much because then it gets too hard. So try to just breathe as slowly as you can. Now notice that we're doing one breath to switch the legs and one exhale to stretch. Inhale, exhale. I'm going to have you try to hold the same breathing tempo. Inhale, exhale, but have your legs move twice in each one. So it's inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. It doesn't really have to be staggered like that. But the point is that you're going to keep the breathing slow, but you're actually going to double time your legs. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good. It's faster, but it's not out of control. Now I'm going to have you take the hands behind the head. Slow it down. Inhale, exhale. Inhale to center, exhale, twist. Inhale, exhale. Feel the difference. When it's this slow, you love it. Now, we keep the breathing the same, but we double time the legs. So it's inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. 2 twists for inhale, 2 twists for exhale. Inhale, exhale. So again, moving faster, but you don't want to feel out of control. You don't want to feel sloppy. You're still very much finding and hitting that angle that you want to hit. Keeping those shoulder blades off the ground. Last 2, last 1. Good. Whew. Double leg stretch. Take our legs to tabletop. If your neck's tired, just put it down for a moment. Legs are together, arms are apart. Just show you. Yeah. Okay. You should feel quads and abs when the limbs straighten. The more you straighten away, the more challenging it is. The lower your arms and legs are towards the floor. I'm going to give you an option here. This is the original double leg stretch. You can actually lift the head, neck, and shoulders and do this. I'm going to have you take one arm and reach it to the opposite knee. And then extend the remaining 2. Pull it back in, switch. It's still like the same angle as what you did before when you were going out with all 4 limbs, except it's just an opposite legs, opposite arm stretch now. Option to put the head down. I'm just kind of reaching over my hand, my wrist to touch the opposite knee. Geez, who's counting? Do you feel it? All right, that's good. All right, that's a lot on the hip flexor. Let's actually stretch the hip flexor out by doing a glute bridge. So I know we don't often think about this, but when we are working our butt and extending the hip, it's a great hip flexor stretch. I'm just gonna hang out here for a little bit. Just get that nice stretch. Keep the butt squeezing. All right, and then we're gonna add some movement to this. Now double check your feet are hip distance apart because you don't want it too wide. Like you definitely don't want it as wide as the mat because we're going to lift one leg up. And if you have your feet too wide, you're going to just topple over. But if you have your feet next to each other, then there's just not as much challenge because you're kind of evenly balanced. So let's lift the butts to neutral. So trying not to push the hips into hyperextension here. Palms down. We're going to lift one leg, bent, straighten, lower on the diagonal, no lower than the knees, straighten, bend, and lower. And the whole time we're trying to keep the hips at the same height. Both the right and left hip are the same height. Good, let's try the other leg. Knees are bent, right over the hip. Straighten the leg, work the quads, keep the quads engaged. Align the knees next to each other on the diagonal. Notice here if your butt drops, lift it back up, bend the knee, and place the foot down. Let's go ahead and lower the butts. Give a little break, and let's do the same thing again. Hips, knee, leg. Just keep alternating the breath. So if you're on an inhale here, that's fine. And you're on the exhale here. Then inhale and exhale. Let's actually lower our butt in between. Push those hips up. Keep alternating the breath. Good. And if you don't need your butt going down, if you don't need that break, then you keep your hips up. So one more time. But this time, let's add a couple extra lifts. So keep the legs straight for lower for 3, 2. Now bend. Take the butt down if you need. Bring it back up. Knee, lift. Keep the legs straight for 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and bend. And down. Good. We do tend to work a lot on the hip flexors when we do leg lifts, so I would say it's sort of unbalanced. But we try. We try to do as balanced as we can. All right, we're going to do breaststroke. The arms are going to circle forward, side, and then when it's back, we lift the chest. Again, chin stays slightly tucked, and the tops of the feet stay on the mat. I'm just gonna kind of slide my hands up my body so it's right over my head. Reach to the side. So my chest is down here. And then only when I reach my arms back does my chest lift. As my hands glide forward, I'm lowering my chest. So in terms of the spine extension, it's similar to what we did earlier where we lifted and lowered. We're just adding a little bit of arm choreography. Inhale, exhale, reach forward. Inhale. Now, if you would like to lift your legs, you can. It's not just the lower part, it's the entire leg, squeezing the butt, thighs and all. So exhale, dive forward, inhale, lift here. Keep your feet apart. And feel free, of course, to keep your legs on the ground. You're going to feel a little bit more in the lower back and obviously the glutes. But if it's too much for the lower back, then keep your feet on the ground. Last one. It's also really great for shoulder range of motion. Go ahead and sit back and stretch. Your shoulders should have the ability to go all the way up and down to the side. It's also forward and back, but you can't do that when we're lying on our stomach. Okay, so we're gonna sit on one butt cheek. Which one? Whichever is your favorite. Okay, what I mean is you don't want to be on your back. Your knee angle goes from facing the ceiling to facing this diagonal. My elbow here is supporting me, but you don't want to sink into the shoulder. So pressure on the forearm. Out. And then this other hand, you can actually do whatever you want with it. It's probably easiest to have it behind you. So now we're here. Remember I was talking about a lot of hip flexor work. We are going to be doing more hip flexors here. Also oblique stability. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to reach out and then pull it back in. This is knee extension, hip extension, knee flexion, hip flexion. So basically I'm extending and then I'm kind of crunching them into a ball. Remember, watch that shoulder. Don't worry, you can't, I mean, you're trying to lift your chest, but you're not going to have a straight spine. You got to have a little bit of roundness here. All right, that was probably around 8. Now keep it tucked. Only the knee will straighten, like this. Good. So we're not extending the hip anymore. So we just went from 2 joint movements to 1. Try to keep that chest lift as much as you can. breathing. Exhale, inhale. Doesn't matter, you can also inhale and exhale. Last version is hip extension only. So we're gonna straighten our legs, extend, flex. Just the hips. Now we've done 3 versions so far. You can pick any of these versions to finish off these last 8. So if you want to do the exercise we did first, which was knee and hip extension, do 3 more. This is the most challenging, which is why I do it at the end. Just building up to options here. And last one, a lot of hip flexors, abs, and long lever, so more challenging. Good. Ooh. All right, should we go to our second favorite butt cheek? Yeah, let's do that. No questions in the chat? Okay, all good. Same thing, you're only on one butt cheek. And the reason being is because we're trying to target just one of the obliques. We're gonna start with everything out, everything in. So this tuck kind of motion. You might be thinking, why does Fen move so slowly? Well, it's on purpose. Yes, we could get a lot more exercises squeezed into 45 minutes if I move faster, but then it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Okay, this is the 8th one if I'm counting correctly. So keep the knees in and extend the legs. You can point or flex the feet, doesn't matter. Don't forget about your shoulders. It's very easy to just sort of forget about them and like sink into your shoulder. So you really want to keep pressure on that forearm and stay lifted out of the chest. Okay, so coming up to the 3rd option, straighten the leg and then just the hips. Remember, we're working everything that attaches to the spine and pelvis. This is all part of your core musculature. I keep saying I'm going to count, and then I get to 2, and then I stop counting. All right, I think this is the last one. Okay. Coming to the back side again. Oh no, let's do a plank. Should do a plank. You do a plank on your wrist or on your elbows. The wrist or elbow will be underneath your shoulders. Reach your heel back and then the other. Feel free to start with your butt a little higher. Make sure that there's no strain or pain on the lower back. But if there is no work in the abs, then you gotta lower your hips until you feel the work. So find the position where your abs are engaged, your glutes are engaged, but there's no strain in the lower back. If your elbows are locked or hyperextended, soften those elbows a bit. Get some work in those arm muscles. Eye gaze is on the floor between your thumbs, and let's take 2 breaths. Inhale. I know you've already taken 4 breaths. We'll do 2 more together. Exhale. And last one, in and out. Okay, now we're going to teasers. Teasers similar to the roll-up, but your legs are off the ground. I'm going to show you a couple of variations today. Here's the base version. You want to make sure you get yourself up so that you can roll yourself down slowly, resisting gravity. So similar to the roll-up, arms, head, neck, and shoulders come up first. Exhale, extend the legs, not towards the floor, but on the diagonal, and roll yourself up. Find balance on your tailbone. Arms here. And then you're going to reverse the motion. Straighten the legs, roll down with control. Feel it in your body, right? If your legs don't need to extend fully, like if you have really long legs and a shorter torso, you don't have to extend the legs as much. Let's try it again. Inhale, arms, head, shoulders. Exhale, legs, spine, bend the knees if needed. Inhale, exhale, open back up, roll down, pull the knees in. So the variation I'm going to give you feel free to keep doing that version, is I'm gonna have you try to keep your legs a little straighter and do a crisscross while we're on our tailbone. And then we'll come back down. Inhale, arms, head, shoulders. Make sure your shoulders are off the ground before you extend the legs and roll up. If you want to keep your legs straight, you can. We're going to crisscross, crisscross. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring your legs back together and roll down. You can also do the crisscross with your knees bent. Inhale, arms, head, shoulders. Exhale, legs. So here's the bent knee version. Crisscross. This just keeps you up in the teaser a little longer and distracts you with some fancy footwork. All right, showing you an arm variation. Inhale. This is like the 5th one, right? Inhale, arms, head, shoulders, extend. Arm variation as arms go up. Crisscross, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you want to keep your arms high, you can keep them there, or you lower them and then roll down. Feel that? Inhale, arms, head, shoulders. Exhale. I'm going to bend my knees here. Reach the arms up. Crisscross. 2, 3, and 4. Bring my arms down if you want. Good. So let's do 8. So I think that was 6. So you can do 2 more, any variation you like. Keep the legs straight and keep it bent. You can skip the crisscrosses. See what you're doing. Nice. Those are the fastest crisscrosses I've ever seen. I'm just kidding. Enjoy the crisscrosses of the ankles. Okay, so we are done for only 2 more. You're on your back. You're just going to peel yourself up, however you like. We're going to do a reverse plank. Reverse plank also stretches the hip flexors. If you can, turn your fingertips so they're facing your butt. If that's really uncomfortable for your wrists or shoulders, you can turn the finger so it faces to the side. But I don't want your fingers facing back, okay? For your feet, you can have your knees bent. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna do like this. See hip flexor stretch? Don't look up, look towards your knees. So option here. And we're also gonna do leg lifts, which you don't have to do. Remember, this whole class is optional, which means this exercise is optional, the leg lifts are optional, everything's optional. Here's the other version. You're gonna have your feet in a V. So heels together, toes apart. My hip is also extended here. It's just my knees are straight. And then lift. So pick your position, either knees bent or straight, and everyone's just gonna lift the knee. Exhale, inhale. Try not to lift the knee and drop your butt. We're gonna keep our butt lifted. If you're on doing straight leg version, you're on the outer edges of your feet. On the outer edges of your feet. This is pretty tough for the wrists and shoulders, I'm not gonna lie. So feel free to come out of it. 1 more on each side. And then shake it out. So you can't really do a reverse plank on your elbows. It's a little too challenging. I mean, it can be done, but it's also just a lot of pull on the shoulders. All right, we're gonna come to our stomach one more time just to finish up with some postural work. So this is called swan. I didn't name any of these exercises, but this time you actually do want to come off your elbows for a greater spine extension. So I wouldn't jam my arm straight, and I wouldn't have it like super close. I would start in my normal position laying down. Wherever my forearms naturally fall, I'm going to lift my chest using my spine muscles, but when I get to a point where I can't lift any higher with my spine muscles, I'm going to press into the floor with my palms, slightly lift the elbows, and draw your abs in. Just draw your abs in so you don't overly arch your back. So there's this, and then they're just sort of like, I just sort of sink into my hips. All right, and then you're going to, when you come down, pull your elbows back. Like imagine like your elbows are reaching the back of the room. There's hands, your hands are on a sticky mat, there's friction, so it's not like your hands are going to slide back.
but in kind of pulling those elbows back as you roll down, you kind of feel that muscle engaged all around here. So here we go, inhale. I'm pushing into the floor. And I'm not gonna straighten my arms all the way. Good, my eye gaze is still head, neck, and spine aligned. I'm still not looking up like this, but maybe more toward the edge of my mats. And I'm gonna pull my elbows back. Almost like I'm dragging my body forward, but my body's not moving anywhere. My elbows eventually hit the floor, and I roll back down. Let's try that 2 more times. Again, it's all about this head, neck, spine alignment. Because we're lifting a little higher than before, my eye gaze will go a little more forward. Draw the belly in. That's the inhale. Exhale, pull, elbows back, like you're trying to drag your body forward, and you're down. All right, 1 more. This is actually called swan prep. You guys want to know what swan is? Swan is this. That's why that's the prep. We're not going to do that today. Yes. So swan, it's like you knock the wind out of yourself by working your spine. That's not what we're going to do today. So go ahead and sit back and stretch after your last swan prep. Good. And then we're just going to finish on our hands and knees with a little bit of hip circles. So when we lift the leg, so wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Spine nice and flat and neutral. And we're going to basically circle the knee. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle, but you can think about lifting up and back, kind of bringing it over to the side like you're a male dog-ish, and then back down and around. You can even pull it toward your elbows a little bit. So if you can't do it with your legs straight because you're just going to hit the floor, but basically you're trying to get as much range of motion in that hip joint as you can, all while keeping your spine in neutral and finding your balance. Good. Your arms should be very engaged because as your leg's moving, like you just kind of want to fall on your face, but you're not going to. Let's reverse it. Do 3 or 4 slow, controlled leg circles. If you do want to straighten your leg out here, you can, and then just bend it again. But you won't be able to keep your leg straight the whole time. Good, let's switch. Check out your wrists if you need to. You can probably do this on your elbows, but try not to, sink into the spine or arch. Your wrists are starting to feel it. You should be able to have most of the range in your hips, even if you're on your elbows. But I will say that you won't feel your triceps as much if you're not on your wrists because your elbows are bent. Okay, and reverse. I know we're not directly working our abs, but you do want to keep your abs nice and tight. My hip just popped really loudly. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do while in this position is just kind of a quick cat-cow stretch, or what I call the rainbow. Tucking the tailbone under, nodding the head, and then a smile, which is lifting the tailbone and lifting the chest. So just take your spine through that range 2 or 3 times, and you can join me sitting on your mats in a comfortable position. Most likely knees are bent. You can sit butterfly, whatever allows you to sit with a straight spine. A lot of times if our legs are straight, what happens is it kind of pulls our body into a slouch. So it's easier to bend the knees and then you can sit nice and tall. Good. Reach one arm as high as you can. And when you can't reach any higher, then you start to lean. You're trying to create the longest distance from that butt bone up through the fingertip. So keep reaching, reaching, reaching. Good. And return. Find that nice, straight, tall spine. Same thing, reach as high as you can first. Keep that butt bone grounded. So you don't want to lean so much that that butt bone comes off the ground. Very nice. And we're just going to end with a quick spine twist. So these are all the wonderful ways our spine can move. Rotation, side bend, forward flexion, back extension. And hopefully after class, you feel a little stronger, a little more flexible, a little more energized from moving. And these are all exercises that you can do on your own at any point on your floor.